the Super Speedway.
Welcome to episode 305 of the Super Speedway podcast, recorded Tuesday, January 30th, 2024. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. James, we're stepping back in the past because this is actually episode 305, despite the fact that we said last episode was 305. That was 304. So
was that the collective we, or
I don't know.
Who's we?
I mean, I'm the one who did the notes and said it, I think, so it's pretty much on me. But thanks for having my back there on that one.
Well, since whenever I do the notes and screw it up, I always get the backlash.
Yeah,
so.
I do always call you out on it. You're right. Fair is fair. Fair is fair.
Yeah, we're back. Look at that.
Yeah. So it's a new season of the Super Speedway podcast, James. Another season is here. The off season is over. We're going racing this weekend.
We are.
Are you excited?
Something like that? Yes. I'm coming off a horribly disappointing weekend, so I'm still recovering.
Let's put it this way: are you more excited about the Clash now that the Lions aren't still in the running? Like if the Lions were going to the Super Bowl, would you have been able to put any effort into the Clash?
No, I'd have been inconsolable.
Yeah,
I was already off the reservation. But no, I'm coming back to life now. NASCAR season's upon us. No, I'm excited. We're going back. It's hard for me with the Clash, to be honest with you. I am so geared up for the 500. I almost feel like I look past the Clash just a little bit. But I'm excited. We've got cars back on the track. Paint schemes are out. We've got new sponsors, new faces, new places. I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
And so I saved this for the podcast.
Let's do it.
You historically have been a Lions fan, right?
My whole life.
For your whole life. And you have, over the last few seasons, kind of given up. And
I'm broken. Yeah,
like
completely broken.
You're like, whatever, it's never going to happen. I'm just not going to get hurt anymore.
Bad marriage is what I called it.
Right. Yep. And then they got to the NFC Championship game this year.
Yes.
And almost, I mean, they dominated the first half of the game.
They were 1 half away from the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So were you still, like, did you come back around? You were back, right? And they just hurt you again?
Well, I was back at the beginning of the season this year.
I do know you had some feelings.
Yeah, but it wasn't just because listen, I'm not a football genius or anything like that.
Right. I
was kind of going off of the feels, like something was stirring. We had a really good finish to last season, and I'm like, maybe I was wrong about Dan Campbell when they first hired him. Like maybe being completely radical is exactly what we need, and I'm gonna have to swallow that. So I'm like, yeah, I'm in. I'm all in. Like if Dan Campbell's our guy, Dan Campbell's our guy. I'm in. The problem is Matt Patricia broke me in a way that I didn't know I could come back from. I mean, I was in a bad way.
Yeah.
But then this season happened. I'm like, okay, we're looking good. Like, I think we're gonna win the division and maybe get a playoff game. That would be fantastic. Like, just let's get a playoff game. That'd be cool. And then they beat the Rams. And I'm like, okay, I'm feeling pretty good. We got Baker coming in. I love Baker, but no, we can beat Baker. I'm not worried about Baker. To be honest with you, Eric, I was more nervous the week before the NFC Championship than I was last week.
Really? That's funny because that Tampa game just felt like it just felt like they were just rolling. Like that game was the one that convinced me that, like, holy crap, they're going to go the whole way.
Yeah, I was at
Sorry,
peace.
Listeners, I know we're not a football podcast.
It's okay. No, we have to talk about this.
Suck it up. We'll get to NASCAR stuff. Don't worry.
We will soon. Yes,
it's the Clash. I mean, who cares?
No, we've talked about we talk about the Lions from time to time on the podcast. It's because it's our team, right? Our hometown team.
It's your team.
Yeah, you're a Bears fan.
I did clamor to be on the bandwagon towards the end of this one this year, but Dan
you
Campbell told me to stay the hell off. So
he did. He really did.
He did.
He really did. No, I was, to be honest with you, going into Sunday, I was at peace with whatever. Yeah. Whatever happens. I'm at peace with this. And then they started rolling. I'm like, maybe. But then that helmet catch happened, and I was like, oh no. You could just feel it slipping away,
Yep.
and then all the bad things started happening, and it just got ugly. And I was talking a whole bunch of crap about Brock Purdy, so I kind of set myself up. My one buddy won't talk to me because I told him, I think Brock Purdy's a bad quarterback. I was doing that all week, and for one half of football, he really was a bad quarterback. So I was feeling pretty good. But I feel really, really good about where this all is now. Like, I think we've got like a 5-year window to do something. So I'm optimistic going forward. I'm happy. I'm okay.
Favorite part about you is that like you put on this hard exterior, like you just don't care. And and you're like, your social media presence is so like minute. But then
so weird.
All I have to do is I get those little snippets in the Instagram stories.
Every once in a while.
I see the Instagram story post is like, oh, there's the real there's that hopeful Lions fan that James
He's
is.
in there somewhere. Yeah. Locked deep down inside. No, it's weird because this was the first experience my daughter was old enough to kind of go on the ride. Mm-hmm. And she
got to learn what it's really like to be a Lions fan, didn't she?
Well,
that disappointment
she's
at the end?
No, she's spoiled. No, she's spoiled rotten because she saw success
right.
that I had never. Yeah. But she was wearing the T-shirts and she was having Lions Pride Day at school, she was kind of into it. And I don't know. It brought me all the way back around from, I think, the depths of despair that was 3 years ago and beyond. I was in a pretty bad place.
Dude, this state shut down on Sundays. People rescheduled events for the Lions. Yeah. I mean, it was incredible.
And people know, if you listen to the podcast long enough too, you know that I'm not the biggest Michigan football fan, but what a run between U of M and the Lions. The Lions run here. I mean, that was, I don't know if football will ever have been better for the state of Michigan than it was in the last month. I mean, it was pretty extraordinary. Pretty extraordinary ride for everyone.
Yeah, and then, I mean, just right across the highway, the Pistons, they suck.
Well, the Pistons did win on Sunday.
Well, at least somebody did.
Yeah. Beat the number 1 team in the West. Yeah, that was the whole thing.
So we know now that the NFL is not scripted, right? Because, I mean, a Taylor Swift Eminem Super Bowl, that had to be the way to go, right?
Oh, that would have been so much fun.
I mean, I think maybe flipping the bird from the suite during the game on Sunday for
the double bird.
Yeah, for Marshall might not have been a great move, but
isn't he the best?
He is.
It was really great to see him crawl back out from wherever he's been.
Yeah, I enjoy the fact that he's kind of just nowhere, and then every once in a while he makes an appearance, puts a video out, maybe puts out an album, and
I'm just really glad that it wasn't Kid Rock in his place.
Oh yeah,
because it could have gotten really weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, okay.
I will take Marshall any day.
Yeah, Swift versus Marshall at the Super Bowl. I feel like we win that one for quality of work. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd have been a good show.
Eric, you are a father of sons.
Yes.
I am a father of daughters.
Yes.
So my girls have grown up, and it's been all Disney princesses and Elsa and this whole thing, right? So I'm not kidding you. Last night, my wife cuts her bangs, gives her bangs because she really wanted to do it. So I'm like, okay. My wife's like, I can do that. That's easy. And I hear my daughter from her room squeal with glee and immediately say, I look like Taylor Swift. And I went, oh no. I am in it now.
Oh boy.
I'm at the next evolution of whatever it is to be a girl dad because I'm like, so now when I watch the Super Bowl, it's going to be, where's Taylor? Yeah. Okay. Be a good dad.
Hey, I can't hate on T Swift, man. I tried to hate her, but I can't.
She's just too glamorous.
Did you see the story? She's tipping $100 bills to all the staff in the suite this weekend. I mean, that's pennies to her. That's like nothing, but
I know. Well, the cameras are around. She's got to make sure she does. Sorry, no. I mean, she's really nice. She's great.
Yeah. All right, let's talk NASCAR.
Yeah, we're done with football. Taylor Swift. Any other pop culture we need to catch up on?
I think we're good.
I really enjoyed Sydney Sweeney on Hot Ones. That's that's a good one.
Yeah.
So
I didn't watch that one yet. I didn't watch that one.
Oh, that's a good one. I'll just leave it there.
Jon Stewart's coming back to The Daily Show. I mean, we can talk about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Dakota Johnson was on SNL. That was kind of hit or miss.
Justin Timberlake's coming back.
Yeah, Timberlake's going on tour, not in Michigan, of course.
Of course.
No Michigan date, which is
What
okay
are the
because
pop-
I'm not
what
going
are-
anyway.
Boy, we're aging ourselves with our pop culture.
We are.
I'm trying to give you some other nuggets.
Yeah,
I don't have it. That might be it. My brain can only go so far.
Yeah, I used to be up on that stuff, but Green Day's got a new album. There's another ancient
See, I didn't even
pop
know
culture.
that. I didn't even know that.
Oh yeah, because
So-
him and well, I'm a Jimmy Fallon fan, and him and Fallon
Oh
did
yes,
the
that's
subway
right. I saw
busking
this.
thing. Yeah, so
Yes.
where they
Yes,
make it
Jimmy
look
Fallon.
like people just showed up and they happen to have Green Day down there, but you see the behind the scene videos and you see how they staged it. But whatever.
Yep.
Anyway,
Yep.
I like Fallon though. Hey, he follows me, man, on Twitter. I think
Well,
I don't know.
we're
I don't
verified
use
followers.
I don't use Twitter anymore, so whatever.
I got banned from Twitter just about 2 hours ago.
Did you really?
But yeah, I got like suspicious activity from my account. I'm like, what do you mean?
Oh, I
had to
thought
verify?
you got the Elon ban.
No, I got. Yeah, it looked like the Elon ban.
There's a
I'm-
pop culture thing for you. I saw a headline on CNN today that he implanted something in somebody's brain.
That I saw this and it looked like one of those things out of a video game.
That's all I know.
That's all
I
I
also
know,
know
too.
that Monday or Friday the Apple Vision Pro comes out.
The Dale Senior goggles.
Yeah, the Dale Senior goggles. I mean, it's hard to get them. The Dale Senior goggles, they only cost you $3,400 I think for the Vision Pro.
I look forward to your Facebook post where you post about how you just couldn't pass it up.
Yeah, well, it'll be first. You forgot the 6 months of I hate this thing. This is dumb.
Oh yeah,
And then the post where I have it.
yeah.
Pretty sure that is instant divorce if I buy a Vision Pro. So it's probably not going to happen, but
You didn't even fight with me. You added to it.
no,
so
I
that's
know.
good.
Dude, I know what I am.
know what I am.
I know what I am.
I know this creature.
Yes.
I know the creature that lives in my house.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I told a
geez.
buddy
Should we-
today. So we got this is so off the rails, but so we bought. I basically bought the boys and myself a PlayStation 5 for Christmas this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I spent $500 on a PlayStation 5, and now I've been trying to order the PlayStation Portal so I can play it from the couch, or the other room because I'm stupid. For $200, they're sold out everywhere. So I've been on this stock website that sends me alerts when they're in stock somewhere.
Yeah.
But by the time the alert comes, they're out of stock already. So I was finally sitting on Best Buy and got it the other day. So I don't have it, but I pick it up Friday. And I was telling my buddy, I'm like, I spent $500 on a game system, $200 more to play it in the other room, because I'm stupid. Like, he says,
you told me you weren't going to ever get consoles because you liked being portable.
Yeah,
So
well, that's
now
the
you
thing.
invest
This
in
is my
both.
hope that it. Anyway, stupid.
anything to get you away from the family just a little bit longer.
Yeah, stupid. Just dumb. Speaking of getting away from the family, James, NASCAR season is coming. We got some NASCAR news to talk about. There's probably a lot more stuff than what we have in these notes because there's been a lot that's happened since the last episode. But let's
We got
talk
the
about
good
a
stuff.
few of the things. Yeah, we got the major stuff. New rules for short tracks and road courses this season. We can start there. Not a surprise. I think everybody knew that something was coming. So basically,
You try to explain it.
this is what NASCAR says. This is per J-Ski, but this is what NASCAR says. The details of the components update. 2023 short track road course splitter stuffers. No engine panel strakes. 3-inch spoiler. Simplified diffuser strakes. So, okay, I think the thing that we can all recognize the most is the fact that the diffuser on the back of the car is going to be different.
It's been a problem.
Yeah. Supposedly this is going to make them race better. Supposedly there was some positives to what they did at the tests. Bristol and Dover are excluded from this, but all the other short tracks and road courses, tracks in 1 mile or shorter, will have this. I think NASCAR's already kind of essentially implied that this isn't the solution. It's just a step, or at least the media has addressed it that way. But I mean, a step in the right direction, I guess, right, James? I mean,
Yeah.
short of giving them horsepower.
Yep, I was just gonna say, without giving them horsepower, it looks like they tested, they basically did everything they could to find a solution here, and we're gonna gonna start the year going in this direction. So I think we're gonna.
Yeah, I guess we'll see it this weekend, won't we?
Yeah, we're gonna find out. I don't know if we're gonna be able.
Matter at the.
We're not gonna be able. Yeah, we're not gonna be able to tell anything this weekend, but we're gonna see it, and then we'll, Phoenix is coming up here. I think that's probably the first chance we'll get to see it again. So, curious. I don't. Denny's been talking about this quite a bit, and it's just increasing horsepower. I heard Harvick talking about it recently again too. Actually, with Dale Jr., I was actually rewatching some clips, just kind of some things that have happened since the season was over. And,
so you prepared more for this episode than me.
Well, yeah, I mean, just kind of stumbling around, but yeah, I mean, that was one of the. I think we're gonna hear now that Harvick's in the booth. I think we're gonna hear him. I don't know how hard he's gonna beat the drum. Now that he's kind of on the other side of the track up in the booth. So,
do you think Harvick cannot be vocal?
I think he still will.
He's got a microphone in his hand now every weekend for the first half of the season. I would imagine we're going to hear plenty from him.
Yeah,
he's not going to hide his true thoughts.
Yeah, and it's not like he's like Dale Jr. is a car owner,
right?
Invested. I mean, Clint Bowyer doesn't. He's never really been one to, rattle the cage of NASCAR too often. So we'll see. It seems like that's where Harvick has always kind of landed, and like I said, Denny has been there too, about the more horsepower. But NASCAR's just not going to do it. So at least this year. So we're just gonna kind of find out here. I'm hopeful. I don't think it's gonna work, but I'm hopeful.
Anything's got to be a better step.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, especially after you do all the testing. Could you get it much
worse? I don't know that you could get it much worse.
It's pretty bad. Martinsville really has become a nothing, a nothing race. Yeah. So, if we can get Martinsville improved, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my benchmark. Let's see what Martinsville looks like, and if it looks more like Martinsville, maybe we'll be okay.
Right.
So we'll see.
NASCAR and the teams are still negotiating the charter deal. The deadline for negotiation was the end of December. They've extended that now. The agreement ends at the end of this year, December 31st, 2024. Let's see. According to Sports Business Journal, 5 people familiar with the matter confirmed that the sides had extended the negotiating window, with 2 noting through January. The new deal wouldn't start until January 1st, 2025. NASCAR may want to avoid having the topic become a distraction once the season starts in February. NASCAR and a Race Team Alliance, of course, declined comment. So, do you see a world where the charters go away at this point? I mean, NASCAR might want them to, but I think they've painted themselves in a box with this deal.
Yeah, I think they have to stay. They're too valuable now.
Yeah.
I think that's where they always wanted to get them to. I would assume they want to keep the value. Right. They actually mean something. So I think they've got to stay. I don't think you have another choice. And I don't think there's another option. I
mean, we're going to Daytona here in a couple of weeks, James. And I think there's like one open car, or like one car is going to go home. Largely in part because of these charters. Yep. But in the grand scheme of things, yeah, it's made the duels not mean anything. It's made qualifying mean less, but I think overall it's probably made the sport healthier, don't you think?
Yeah, the bottom and the top have never been closer.
Right.
I don't think.
And I mean, yeah, it's a rich man's sport. You're not going to get into it. You're not going to have a competitive team without being rich, but that's always been like that. Yeah. You just don't have the guys that don't have the money running around in the back anymore.
I don't know how many teams I'd have to name off before you said, yeah, that team can't win.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you go through the list of teams, like, yeah, that team can win. That team can win. You've got Trackhouse and Doherty. Like, Doherty won the Daytona 500 last year.
Right.
I don't expect BJ McLeod Motorsports to win a race, but they've even, like Rick Ware. Like, Rick Ware's got Justin Haley over there now. So,
yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, they could. I mean, you tell me that couldn't combine to win a road course or a speedway race if they had the right stuff. I mean, yeah, I think that's possible. So yeah. There's the I don't know if it's the middle has expanded, both ways or what, but yeah, the floor and the ceiling in this sport are extremely, extremely tight now. we've talked about that plenty of times though, Eric, where we don't know where the next, like, we saw RFK come alive last year, and it's like, okay, well, Stuart Haas is kind of moving out. Who moves out, who moves in,
Right.
and we've kind of seen it. And I don't know if it's year by year swings or if there's going to be a long period of time where that happens too.
Yeah. So I hate the charter system. I've hated the charter system all along. I wish it wasn't here. The problem is that I don't think you can go back to a world where it's not here.
Right.
The sponsorships are too valuable, and you just don't have those season-long sponsorships anymore. And to get these names on the cars every week, to get the rides sponsored, you need that guarantee that they're going to be in the field.
Yes.
So there's just not a world where it goes away. I guess it comes down to just what percentage everything is and all that stuff. And how the charters are managed. Is there really a point in having the whole, we can take your charter away thing, that type of stuff? Are those rules really necessary? I guess all those little details are what needs to get worked out. But I can't imagine them going away at this point.
No, and I think that's a good point you brought up too, Eric, is the qualifiers. Like, yeah, you have to continue to run well. I don't know if that ever goes away, but I struggle to be. I struggle to say, especially if, like, just use Stuart Haas for an example. Like, if they want to sell one of their charters, and maybe Rick Ware buys it or something, right? And it's and they just can't perform. Like, yeah, but they spent $40 million or whatever the heck it was. You can't just take. I feel like you just can't just take that. It's almost like a franchise. You can't just take the franchise away from them for.
Yeah, exactly. That's my thought too. And then, I mean, the other thing is too, just if you want to see the success of the charter system, whether you like it or not, like I said, I don't. But Stuart Haas has 4 cars right now that they're struggling to sponsor.
Yes.
If they decide under the old system, if they decide, okay, well, we're just going to field 3. We can't field the 4th. We can't afford to field the 4th. What happens? They have the same inventory. They have the same personnel. They got to lay people off, and they get nothing for it. There's absolutely nothing for it. But if they decide not to run now, they sell their charter and they get $20 million at least.
Yeah.
That's success. That's exactly what this charter system was supposed to do. And it's given value to these teams that wouldn't have value otherwise. We saw too many people invest their livelihoods into these teams and then leave the sport with nothing. And at least there's something, even if there's no value in the equipment, there's still something of value there that they can sell and come out ahead, or at least not completely,
recoup some of your loss.
And it might keep people in the sport longer because they can afford to take a chance and still have an out that's going to bring them some money back to repay what they lost, So I don't know. Yeah, I think it's like I said, I hate it. What I hate is the guaranteed spots in the field. That's what bothers me. But the fact that we have 40 spots in the field and we have more than 40 people wanting to field teams and they can't because there aren't charters available, it means that the sport is healthy at this point.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be the case if we didn't have the charters. It's not like we would have 45 cars trying to make or 50 cars trying to make the field every week because people would know they're going home. There's no reason to show up.
Right. I do wish that the field for the 500 was back to 43, but
me too.
That's
well, I wish the duels meant something because right now they're basically 2 practice sessions.
Yeah, I used to love when the duels meant something.
Yeah.
They just
but
don't mean
to me there's still our chance to see the cars on the track. Everybody has to race them. We get to see a preview, and it's what Speed Weeks used to give us. We don't get any of that anymore. At least we still have the duels to get that reminder of, all right, this is what's coming, before the big show on Sunday. So, I don't want to get rid of them. I won't be one of those people that says get rid of them, but yeah, they mean less than they used to, but they're still important, I think.
Yep, exactly.
So, especially with the Clash not being at Daytona, the Clash is a sideshow now. I'll admit it. The Clash is a sideshow, and this is probably the last year they're doing it in LA. We'll see what they'll do with it in the future, but, it doesn't. I don't think the Clash does anything to get people ready for the season or get people excited about the season. It's all about exposing a different market to the NASCAR. And that's it. It could be done at any time of the year. It doesn't matter that it's the first race of the year. That those duels are what gives you the chance to get excited about the 500. So, and the season.
And I still miss everything being at Daytona.
Dude.
I don't know if...
I miss 2 weeks of action down there. I miss, I miss the Iroc series. I miss the old Goody Dash series. I miss all, you had races both weekends. I miss the Bash at the Beach on the backstretch. I mean, there wasn't a day at Daytona there wasn't a race going on or something.
Right.
But, whatever. It is what it is. So.
Yep.
We spent a lot more time on that than I expected.
Yeah, we did.
Let's continue on the NASCAR discussion before we dip out of NASCAR. NASCAR changed some qualifying procedures. To me, this wasn't really that big of a deal. Essentially, the two groups, instead of qualifying throughout the field, will qualify for odd and even positions. So if you're in Group 1, you'll qualify for odd positions, or in Group 2, even positions, or the other way around. I don't know which one it is. The top 10 cars that advance to the final round will still qualify for the top 10 positions. I mean, I think it's probably a more fair way to do it because the track changes so much between the groups. Do you have any issue with this, James? I mean,
no,
does it matter? We don't really care about qualifying anymore, do we?
Qualifying to me is
scrap
just
qualifying and bring practice back.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't really. Again, they can twist and turn it all they want. They're not. I don't think the qualifying is adding much value to the weekend anymore. But
no.
I mean, it's hard because I don't really have an opinion on these changes. Yeah. So, I'm like,
I think it's more fair. It's a better solution, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. Probably in the art of fairness, it's probably okay. So.
I want to go back to group qualifying, but the freaking drivers and teams made it so stupid.
Oh, that was so. I mean, what a time.
In theory, it was great, but it just in practice they all screwed it up, like we tend to do in this sport.
Then they'd sit on pit road and they wouldn't even make the green flag.
I still feel like there were easy solutions, but I mean, I know people didn't like seeing cars get torn up at Daytona in qualifying either. That was not good, but I was entertained.
It was really nice when there was one car at a time. That's all I'll say.
No, it wasn't. That sucked.
I mean,
right.
We did that forever.
Yeah, I know. We did it forever, James.
We did it forever. You know what I mean?
NASCAR is paying Chicago more money to host the street race over the next 2 years, James.
Eric, why do you think that is?
And next. Because they don't want it. So, in addition to giving more money, an extra $2 million the next 2 years, not each, $2 million each of the next 2 years to continue running the street course, they also have adjusted or reduced the amount of closure time, essentially, the amount of time they need to set up before and tear down after the race. So, I don't know. You and I differ on this, James, because I still think that the Chicago street race was a success. I'm excited about it again this year. Hopefully we don't get, an entire year's worth of rain in the 24 hours leading up to the event this year. And we get good weather, but I like it still. So,
yeah.
And I'm with you. Let's move it somewhere where they actually want us. Yeah. But I think the street race thing needs to happen. I think it needs to continue. And I think we got an agreement in Chicago. So let's carry out the agreement for the next 2 years and then go back to Chicagoland.
Have you seen this bit of news? Speaking of Chicago.
Okay.
I'll just read you. You're a newspaper man, so let me read you a news story, just word for word here. This comes from ABC7 in Chicago.
Oh boy.
Chicago. Last summer was the first ever NASCAR street race in Chicago. Now, there's talk about bringing Formula One racing to the city.
Who cares? Isn't the Formula One thing over with at this point? Like,
I don't know.
Hasn't America moved on?
I don't know.
We have 3 races in the U.S. now for Formula One.
So we're just reading down in the story. It could happen. F1 has filed a trademark application for several names, including Grand Prix of Chicago, Chicago Grand Prix, and Formula One Chicago Grand Prix.
Oh my gosh. Chicago can have them. We'll go somewhere else.
Did you see my tweet? Did
No,
you see
I
my
didn't.
tweet on this?
I seriously,
Oh.
I haven't been on Twitter at all.
Okay. Well, that's what I retweeted when I first saw the story. All I retweeted was, "You can have it," because that's exactly how I feel, in my honest opinion.
There's already 3 U.S. races in Formula One, and I think only like the first one is run before the champions decided. I mean,
Yeah, the only one that's Verstappen keeps doing what he's doing. The only race that's worth a dang is at Coda because
Right.
everything's on a dang street course.
right?
So
Well, and
Miami's
outpriced for everybody. I mean, it's insane.
My gosh, yeah.
And I wanted to mention that too. So I watched a thing today about ticket prices for the Super Bowl in Las Vegas. And basically, if you're going to sit in the 300 level seats, James, for 2 seats, you're talking $30,000. You're talking an entire year's salary for an average person to sit in the 300 level at the Super Bowl this year. And I guess it makes me grateful for what we have, because I went to the Daytona 500 in 2011. I sat top row, albeit they weren't in the tower. They were in the grandstands towards turn 4, but top row, and I paid $100 a ticket face value.
Yep.
I mean, and that's our Super Bowl. So be appreciative of the fact that, and I know I think Daytona's gotten a little bit more expensive. And it's a tougher ticket because they sell out now because they reduce seating, but it just, to be able to do that for our Super Bowl versus what the NFL is doing, it's just, we have to appreciate it.
Lions playoff games got out of hand, but that's, supply and demand. It's, and the Super Bowl is always high demand.
Right. Yeah.
So
I know.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the Vegas F1 race wasn't that big of a hit either. They forgot that it gets cold in the wintertime in the desert. So, anyway,
I don't know. Whatever. I'm over Formula One, man. I'm over it. We don't need it. We don't need Formula One for the Netflix show anymore. We got that. Like we don't need F1 anymore.
We don't need F1 at all anymore. Although I have been playing F1 23, the video game. It's actually pretty fun.
Yeah, I bought it for the PS5 too.
That's what I was. That's where I was hoping that would go.
Oh, I definitely
it.
bought it. Well, I would buy the NASCAR game, but there isn't one. At least not one worth buying. Even though they're giving away for like $5 now, I still won't pay for it.
Well, if you wait just a little bit longer, you'll get the iRacing console game.
Yeah.
So,
before we move on to the Netflix show, because we're going to talk about that in a minute. We got a little bit more news about some other series. We got a couple weeks ago, we learned that Iroc is back. Ray Evernham is bringing it back. He's got the trademark, and apparently going to run at least like one vintage type race this year with potential for more down the road. And then the very next day, I think it was, James, we found out that the SRX season is postponed, essentially canceled. I think I got my refund from Berlin Raceway for my SRX ticket.
Oh my God.
So what are you more, where do you level out? Are you more excited that Iroc's back than you are disappointed that SRX is gone, or where are you at on this whole deal, James?
When I saw SRX was gone, I was hurt.
Me too.
It really hurt.
I don't
know
really
Iroc's
care about Iroc, to be honest.
I
Iroc's
don't
run
know.
its course. I just don't. First of all, I'm afraid of anything that Ray Evernham gets his hands on, because as soon as he gets bored with it, then it dies, or he leaves. But
they're gonna race vintage cars this year at some point.
I don't get it.
I don't know. The Iroc thing is weird.
Thinking the Iroc series is going to come back and be something is like cheering for the NASCAR convertible series to come back because Brad Keselowski cut the roof off of a car this week.
Well, yeah, you can make the convertible electric series maybe.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Eric, my question for you on this was, what are we missing on this story? What happened?
Well, I think a lot of people thought that they were related, and I don't think there's any relation to it.
You don't think there's anything related about it?
Absolute coincidence that these two announcements came back to back. I don't think it had anything to do with it. I think what it had to do with, James, is if you look at their ratings, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but you took a product that performed really well on network TV, and you moved it to cable on a Thursday night, and it did a quarter of the audience, and it just didn't move the needle enough for the sponsors. I can't imagine what the sponsorship deal is with these. They're all, it's all Tony Stewart sponsors on these cars. a couple guys would come in and bring sponsorship occasionally to slap on them, but it can't be funding this series that they're rebuilding cars every week for a 6-week period and traveling all over the country. I mean, I know they were mostly confined to the Midwest or the Northeast, but still, it just, man, the undertaking this is why Iroc went out, is because it's too expensive, and they had 4 races stretched over an entire year and a ton of time to rebuild cars.
Yeah, I think 2 things may have happened. I think ESPN even was like, why are we? They're probably on a year-to-year deal, and I think ESPN was like, why are we doing this?
Right.
Also, I love the series. Got a special place in my heart for that series, but I do think the momentum of that series towards the end of last season started to sputter, and there seemed to be just not that I thought it would ever go away like this, but it seemed to be like it was in need of a refreshment, of some sort of revamping of the entire product, and they just never figured out what that was.
I'll tell you what went wrong, James. And I believe I said this way back at the beginning, and I'm not going to pat myself on the back because I was right or anything, but why it went wrong is right in the name. Superstar Racing Experience. We never had the superstars. Yes, we did get, Kyle Busch came and ran a race. You know, we had some Cup drivers interested in this past season.
Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney.
Most of them didn't run a full season. And it wasn't, no offense to those guys. And yeah, they're top in the Cup Series, but it just, to me, the Superstar Racing Experience was supposed to be the superstars of yesterday coming back and racing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't so much the current superstars. It was, let's bring these names that we've missed and put them in equal cars and let them go have some fun. And we just didn't get that. And instead we got Paul Tracy, who probably is the one who bankrupted them by tearing up cars every weekend. So, I don't know. It just, I loved what it was. It was really, really fun. That first season was so much, it exceeded expectations so much.
Yeah.
Last year was so much fun being at Berlin, and I think the atmosphere was great. And I think if that atmosphere could have been at every track last year, then maybe it would still be going. But it just wasn't. That Eldora race was just so disappointing.
Yep.
Not only did they destroy half the field, but there just was nobody there.
Yep.
So I don't know. I'm really sad to see it go, and it's not officially gone. But I think we've all pretty much written the obituary at this point. I don't think any of us are expecting it to come back.
Yeah, I don't know how you bring it back.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll remember it fondly. I don't have anything bad to say about the series. I just think it was a good idea, but I think it just ran its course.
It didn't live up to the promises that it set out with. It did create a good show, and it was entertaining and fun. But it didn't live up to the expectations, I think, is what it comes down to.
And I missed the local drivers getting a chance. That was a fun wrinkle at the start of it.
Yeah, I thought that was great. And tied that in. And, and then we're talking about road courses and talking about going overseas and talking about North Wilkesboro. And it's like, they almost felt like they were starting to head the direction that Iroc did.
Yeah.
And, just not what we needed. So, disappointing. Again, very sad to see it go. Love the series. Was really looking forward to going back to Berlin and watching this year. But I'll be back at Berlin a bunch of times this year for other races. So, I'm good. There's still plenty of good racing out there. And, so.
And if you want to see Tony Stewart race, he'll be in a drag car all year.
There you go. So. Yeah, he's going a straight line instead of turning.
Yep.
So, but there you go.
Yeah.
Let's talk Netflix, James. We both got to at least get a start on the NASCAR Full Speed new show on Netflix.
Dropped today.
Yeah, dropped this morning. I tried to stay up last night to see if it dropped at midnight, and it didn't. I don't know what time it actually went live.
I saw 3 a.m.
Okay.
That was when
I was thinking 3 or 4 was what I thought was happening.
I got up at 4 and it was on there, but I was getting up to do my morning routine, and I was like, oh, yeah, here we go.
I was not up at 4 a.m., so... I woke up to you talking about, or you messaging about the episode. So
yes, yeah.
I watched the first episode on my lunch. I haven't started the second one yet. What'd you think so far, James?
A lot of Denny Hamlin.
Do you feel
first two
like they're
episodes.
really trying to turn the fans toward Denny Hamlin with this series? I mean, I know I'm only one episode in.
It
really felt like they were trying to humanize Denny Hamlin a lot in this first episode.
Let me tread lightly here. I really like it so far, and I'm almost 2 episodes in. I've got to finish episode 2 yet, so I'm getting there. However, I know who the executive producer is.
Yeah. Who is a big fan of Denny Hamlin.
He works in the media with Denny Hamlin at Dirty Mo.
Yeah.
His name's Dale something.
Yeah. That guy?
That guy. And it seems like that guy is making sure that his people are involved quite a bit. You've got Letarte in there. You've got Marty Party in there, which I was excited to see the Marty Party.
I'm actually going to disagree with you on that, but
Go ahead.
I'll let you go. Go finish your thought.
I know who. I just know who his buddies are and how he's. I feel like I'm really treading lightly here.
You're gonna
I really like
you're
it.
Gonna have
I like
Junior Nation after you.
I know. I really like the series. I really do like the series, but I just feel like he's leaning on his guys, which, I guess if you trust your guys, it's not a problem. But I've seen enough Denny Hamlin.
I didn't really notice that until you just mentioned it, and I'm only 1 episode in, but you're not. I don't think you're wrong.
They're smart people, though. Let me say that. You've got a historian in Marty Smith. You've got Steve Letarte, who's as good on the technical side of things as anybody there is. And then you've got Hamlin in there, who's as polarizing as anybody. Kind of kicking the series off with, Denny's carrying a lot of the weight the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And he can talk to you from a driver's side and a car owner's side. So it makes sense. It really does.
Considering Blaney won the championship, it's amazing how little he's in the first episode.
I have not seen him. Yeah, it's almost like people didn't consider him as a championship threat. Who would have thought?
Right. I will say that I like Denny Hamlin. I am a Denny Hamlin fan. I like who Denny Hamlin is. And I felt like there was too much Denny Hamlin in the first episode. I disagree with you on Marty Smith because I really don't like him in the first episode. The problem
he's never done me wrong.
The problem I have with Marty is it feels like he's trying too hard to be the colorful voice, and it just comes across as fake.
He's just trying to paint you a Mona Lisa every time he talks.
Comes across to me as fake in this.
There's nothing like the thundering sound of a race car.
And it'd be different if Marty Smith was still covering NASCAR weekly. But he's not.
Yes, that's he's on to bigger and better.
Hey, let's call the college football guy in and have him talk about NASCAR. I get how important he is to the NASCAR roots and all that, but does the average fan know who the hell he is? They don't, probably, because he's not there every week.
Let me spin this one back on you one more time.
Why not have Bob Pockrass doing that? I know Marty's much more eloquent than Bob Pockrass, but Bob Pockrass, Jeff Gluck, have those guys doing it.
Well, this show seems to be geared towards bringing on new fans and helping them understand. I think they're doing a great job at this.
Yeah.
But who's more relatable to the average sports fan than the guy they see on their TV every Sunday? Talking college football.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
Maybe. I guess you have a point there. That's not a bad take.
I mean, I'm trying to justify my boy Marty. I'm never going to
I know you love Marty. I love Marty. I do. I just don't like his I don't like it. It's not I just don't like his role in the show so
He
far.
crushed the trailer for this, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, the trailer's good. The trailer's really good.
Okay, we're good. We can at least agree on that.
So, and I'm 1 episode in, maybe it gets better. It just felt like he was trying too hard. Part of my problem was I did come into this expecting Drive to Survive NASCAR edition. And is that what the F1 show is?
Yeah, Drive to Survive. Yeah. Yep.
And it's not quite that.
It's not, yeah.
It's not produced to that level. The production value on that Drive to Survive show is so good. The cinematic sequences of the races is so good. And it's probably a lot easier to do in a race where nothing happens. So it's really easy to single out those 30 seconds of a race that are exciting. But
Drive to Survive has these characters that they've forged over years now. Yeah. But when you see Toto and Christian, and it's like they're like WWE superstars to me.
But
those guys are
larger
larger
me on the
than
first
life.
episode, and I didn't know who any of those guys were.
No, but
so I guess to me this kind of feels like NASCAR Drivers 360 with swearing.
There you go.
Which is not a problem because I really liked NASCAR Drivers 360. I loved that show.
Do you think Denny Hamlin comes off as the everyman with his bowling alley in his house and his helicopter on the lake?
No.
Okay.
No, and I don't think he comes across as. I don't think he's becoming more endearing for the fans either, at least in the first episode. But again, I like Denny, and I like seeing.
Denny's a necessary.
Here's the thing with Denny, and Dale Jr. mentions it in the episode, where Denny makes the comment at Daytona that he's going to help his driver versus his teammate.
We talked about that.
Yes.
I remembered that. Yeah.
And Junior says that he probably would have been better off not saying it in public. Junior would have done the same thing, but wouldn't have said it publicly. But Denny just can't not be Denny. And
can't lie. He
can't lie.
Yeah.
And that's why I like Denny Hamlin. That's what I like about him. So, I don't know. Don't get me wrong. It's a great show. I'm really actually, as soon as I'm done here, I'm probably gonna watch the second episode.
Yeah.
It's only 5 episodes, right? I'm disappointed.
5
it's only 5 episodes.
10 races, 5 episodes, 1 champion. It says.
Yeah. I wish it was longer. I'm glad they dropped the whole thing, and I can binge through it, and I'll probably be done with it by the weekend easily.
Yeah, I think by the next time we do this podcast, we'll be able to see it in all of its full potential.
But I'm going to eat up everything like this. Like I said, I was a big fan of NASCAR Drivers 360, and that show was corny as crap.
Yeah, I wonder how the average person who stumbles upon this on their feed is going to react to it. And I don't think we're going to know that for another couple of weeks.
I just don't think, as much as NASCAR tries, they just don't have that connection with the casual person that doesn't know anything about the sport that Formula One does. And I don't know why, James, because Formula One sucks.
There's something about Formula One.
Is it just because it's always been like the series? Like it's because it's worldly, and I just don't get it.
You know, my buddy has become an F1 fan because of that show. Like, he watched that show, and now he's on F1's website. He's watching old seasons and getting kind of caught up on the history.
Yeah.
He really loves it now. And I guess I've never really asked him, like, what is it that makes you love this so much? Because
see, I can get it because I can get hooked on it, James. I'll see the stuff pop up on my YouTube feed, and I'm like, man, the race is going to be on. I got to tune in the race. The build up to the race is so good. The way they time everything, you see the video of the clock click over, and they start their warm up lap, and they come around, they line up, and they take off, and it's like, man, this is so good. And then it's just like, oh,
yeah, that's
okay.
over.
Might as well stop watching now. Who cares about the rest of it?
You know, I think especially in America, we love reality TV shows and we love exotic places, and that is one thing that NASCAR just can't do.
Yeah.
You can't say, "Oh, we're in Daytona this week, and then we're in Darlington, South Carolina." Like,
yeah,
you know, F1's going to Monaco and all these pristine places. And even in America, it's Vegas. You know, it's down the strip in Vegas or, you know, Miami. They just go to all these places across the world, and it's like a reality show. It's like a Rich and Famous, like Real Housewives type thing where, you know, you've got this glitz and glamour and this danger, and I just think it's hooked people in a way.
We go to Miami, and it's a swamp 2 hours outside of the city. You know, until last year we go to Chicago, and it's an hour south of the city. We go to Detroit, and it's an hour and a half away from actual Detroit. So I get you. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the one thing I'll say about this show that I think it's doing a good job of so far is it's positioning these guys as like, these guys are like thrill-seeking heroes.
Yeah, I do appreciate the fact that it's so. And don't get me wrong. I'm talking like I don't like it. I really, really like the show.
I do too. No,
it's not what I was expecting, but it's not disappointing to me either. Yeah. I really do like it. And again, I'm only 1 episode in, only a fifth of the way through it. But I'm very excited about it. I don't want to sound like I'm poo-pooing it because I think it's great.
It's good. I can't wait to finish it.
If nothing else, James, I appreciate the fact that as much as I'm fine with being with the family stuff, I appreciate the fact that we actually have a show that has swearing and has a little bit of the reality of the sport.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
We sanitize all of it. And if you've ever listened to a scanner on the weekend, there is no sanitization at the track.
Yeah. I can't wait. Yeah, exactly. And I can't wait to spend time with Larson.
Yeah.
I can't wait to spend time with
I really
Blaney.
felt like the Ryan Preece wreck was a missed opportunity. And I get that he wasn't in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he wasn't part of the storyline, but damn, watching him get out of that car and rub his eyes there, and just if they could have followed him,
we know the end result,
right? If we could have followed him along and after that accident and what he went through, like that would have been cool. But I get it; that wasn't the focus of the show. So
yeah, and I listen. I love William Byron, love his talent. He's not the most interesting guy so far.
He's pretty dull.
And they didn't even mention that he's dating his competitor's sister,
right?
By the way,
they named
which
her.
I think is
her name went up on the screen. It said Blaney.
Aaron Blaney, and they might eventually. They might. And then they get the next.
Dude, if they go 5 episodes, 10 races, and don't get into that storyline, then we might as well just kill this show, right? I mean, that has to be a topic of one of the episodes.
Yeah, and the second episode, you're spending a lot of time with Joey, which you've said this a million times, and I agree with you. Joey's misunderstood.
Yeah.
Because he's a killer.
Mm-hmm.
But then you've got Bubba, and I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think Bubba translates very well to, I don't know. He's just the way he is. Like, I feel like you and I understand him a little bit.
Bubba has this I don't give a crap attitude.
Yeah, it's kind of
strange. He really has one of those
the
attitudes of a kid that just doesn't care.
Yeah, he does.
And I know he's not like that, but that's the persona he gives off, and it does. It bothers me.
Yep. Yeah, it does. Yep.
And I think it hurts him. I think it hurts his image because he's not like
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't come off as great on the screen as some of the other guys do. But we'll see. I'll listen. I'm gonna finish this thing probably in the next day or two. So, right. I'll be ready to talk about it even more in depth. But I'd say 8 out of 10 so far. I really like it.
Oh yeah, I would go that far. I would.
Yeah, I'm not knocking
rating.
it.
Yeah.
If I thought Drive to Survive was a 10 out of 10, this is an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's not quite there.
And look,
but
I thought Drive to Survive was a 10 out of 10, and James, I stopped watching it halfway through the first season. So, I mean,
it gets
there
long.
you go. Just because it's a great series doesn't mean I'm going to keep watching it either. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Yep. All right, let's talk racing, James. We're going to go racing this weekend. The Busch Light Clash at the Coliseum. We got news that Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin both expected to compete despite surgeries during the off season. There was question, at least with Denny, whether he was going to race or not. What the heck did Elliott have? Chase had.
He had an off season. Was it elbow?
Yeah, I don't know.
Not his elbow.
This article doesn't say.
But, well, he had off season surgery. He had an off season operation too.
Yeah, but yeah,
was it both their shoulders? I thought they both had shoulders.
Could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, both continue to recover from off-season shoulder surgery. Wow, that's hard to say. Yep. So, good. It's good we need to have both those guys in the Clash if we can. It'd be a bummer if they weren't. So.
Yep.
Especially those two. Their relationship with each other is pretty good. So.
Yeah.
Yep. But, so we're also going to get to see the debut of NASCAR's electric car. Are you excited?
Sure.
You and I differ on this, too.
I'm on the record. I don't want to see it.
Really?
So, I love electric car. I would buy an electric car for my daily driver. I don't want to see it on a racetrack.
Here's the question, James.
Oh, here we go. $1 million question.
$1 million question. NASCAR can give you that extra 200 horsepower you want back, but it has to be in a hybrid. You take it?
Is it like we still have the thundering engines and?
Yeah, no. Let's say no. Let's say
they're
no.
Quiet?
It's not silent, but it's much quieter. But you get 200 horsepower back, and it's real horsepower. Like it spins back tires. It's hard to get grip on a short track.
But it does the whining electric sound when it does it.
Sounds like an RC car. 40 RC cars going around the racetrack.
Listen, I'll watch it, but I'll put a podcast on in the background and mute the TV.
Don't you feel like you could at least put a card in the spokes like you do on the bicycle and make it sound cool?
Yeah, somebody's sitting there.
Just put some speakers in the things and make them make a race car noise. Look, I love the roar of race cars, but if I could go to the racetrack and watch a race with my kids who don't understand what's going on and turn to them and tell them what's happening as they're watching the race, I would prefer that over screaming at them and them not hearing me. I really would. I really would.
There's just something I can't get past with this for some reason.
I know.
It's good. You know what's going to have to be, Eric? Somebody's going to have to walk up and steal my lunch and be like, listen, this is it. You don't get a choice. To be clear,
this electric car is not what we're ever expecting to race. This is very much a prototype. There are no plans to do this anytime necessarily soon. Although that's usually those types of things that you say right before you do something soon. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm dude, this is a future. I realize, and I don't think that the electric car future is here as quite as close as everybody thinks it is, or the people that really are pushing it want it to be, because I just don't think as the capacity's there yet to do it, but it's coming. We learned this year that when it's really cold out, that batteries in cars don't stay charged. Yeah, and they all die by the charging stations that also don't work in the freezing cold. So that was cool that they learned that this year. But it's coming eventually. And I'll tell you what, the Formula E series it's fun to watch. They have some good racing with those things. And they sound like RC cars. But that doesn't bother me. They race in downtown New York City.
Imagine Dale Earnhardt coming to the Checkered Flag to capture the 1998 Daytona 500 and the squeal of the electric engine roars by.
Yeah.
Dale Earnhardt takes the Checkered Flag.
Just doesn't bother me.
There's something about it I have a hard time with.
I grew up watching the Busch series with the V6s, man. They sound like bumblebees.
Yeah, they did sound like bumblebees. Those are great. Yeah.
So, no, I don't have a problem with it. The future's coming. Eventually it'll get here, and whether NASCAR fans want it to or not. Yeah. Let's put it this way. They're not going to be able to race cars that spew pollution the way that our cars do forever. It's just not going to happen. So, yeah. And Laguna Seca right now is facing a lawsuit because it's noisy to the people that moved in to the track that's been there for decades. So if they raced quietly, they wouldn't have to sue them.
NASCAR's got their mufflers on this weekend, so we'll have that.
There you go.
Yep.
So speaking of the Clash, James, we got the format. Are you excited about the format? Shall we talk about the format? Let's talk about the format.
Please don't.
James.
No, please don't.
I think we need to have a long discussion about the format.
I typically don't editorialize you, but I can't.
Here's what the format is for the Clash, James.
I can't.
Saturday, they're going to practice and they're going to run heat races. And Sunday, they're going to run the main race. And I don't give a crap about the rest of it. I'm just going to tune in and watch it.
There you go. Enough.
They also were going to run practice and heat races with no fans because somebody at NASCAR is super out of touch with the reality.
Boy, was that the backpedal of the season.
How in
the
Lions world?
Could have used somebody that can backpedal that good in the secondary, let me tell you.
The whole point to the Clash at the Coliseum is to bring NASCAR to the casual fan, and we're going to not let them in.
Oh, God.
So thankfully, they're letting them in for free now, which is amazing. Yep. We also get to see the NASCAR Mexico Series race this weekend. Do we get to see it, though? I've not seen anything. Is it televised?
FS1, yeah.
Okay,
FS1
thank God, because I want to watch it.
I think Daniel Suarez is racing.
Yes, he is. He is. He's racing the Quaker State car.
So there you go. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, no, I'm excited about that because those cars are fun to watch, period.
Yep.
And that'll be cool to see. And that's a points-paying event for them, I believe.
I think that's the start of their season, yeah.
Yeah, so very cool. Yeah, so I don't care about the format. We're going to race 23 cars in the main event and 150 laps, and that's all we care about. So,
who you got?
Can you pick somebody for this
thing?
Your
horse.
I mean, who do you pick for the Clash?
Well, we don't count it for anything, but yeah,
I don't think we're going to count. We haven't discussed how we're going to do picks this year. I don't know that we're going to count anything for picks this year. We might just stick with fantasy, but we'll discuss it.
You finally, took your ball. You lost, and you took your ball and went home.
Yeah, that's what it is. I'm so sad to lose to you. Who's gonna win?
Well, you lose in fantasy every year, and you keep showing up, so that's okay.
Yeah. What do we got? We got Joey Logano.
He just blows right by it. He doesn't care.
We got Joey Logano and Martin Truex Jr. are the past winners of this thing, right?
2 champions, yes.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Ryan Blaney and Kyle Larson, I believe, are the favorites to win the championship this year. believe that's what I read.
I thought Byron was in there.
Maybe Byron. Maybe it's Byron and Blaney. It might be Byron and Blaney.
I thought Larson and Byron.
No, Blaney's
the
favorite
favorite to win the Blaney's the favorite to win the Daytona 500.
The article I saw of Blaney was one of the potential champions. So
who the hell knows who's favorited where? Because there's a million different sports books and all this other crap now. So I don't know who's where.
Yeah. Hold on. I gotta pull up.
Should we become a betting podcast? Is that our niche?
Maybe we should. I mean, I don't bet on anything, so.
Dirty Mo probably has that already.
Let me pull up the 2024 team chart. I guess the real question is does Roush Fenway Keselowski get a car in the race?
They better. They missed it every. Yeah. Buescher should get in. I don't trust Brad at this place.
Yeah.
Buescher should get in.
Who is gonna win this thing?
I'll go first if you want to take a look.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll just wing it.
You go first.
I'll say, yeah. Well, I'll let me do it this way. Since he's gonna get all the laps, give me Daniel Suarez.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. He's
gonna have all sorts of laps on this track. Why not? Why not Daniel Suarez?
That's not a bad pick.
He's gonna turn his whole season around right at the start. It's a crapshoot. I don't know who else you could. I mean,
it is a crapshoot. I am gonna go with
Larson. Doesn't care enough to do it.
I'm going to just do the crapshoot thing too, James. And just the name popped out at me, and I thought, that's probably not a bad pick. I'm going to go Alex Bowman.
Oh, there you go.
He was nothing at the end of the season, so let's just...
He needs some love.
Yeah, let's see him turn it around. Alex Bowman's my pick.
You think Chase Elliott was like, I gotta... This is such a dumb question, because I already know. You think Chase Elliott is going into the Clash going, I had a bad year last year. I'm going to go and win that thing.
No, he don't care.
No, I don't think he does.
I don't think he cares if he qualifies.
Now, Daytona is a different thing. He definitely cares.
Yeah. Interesting to see Josh Berry. There's going to be some fun drivers to watch this season.
Is what's his face? Josh Williams? The guy who parked it?
Yeah, I don't know if he's racing this race.
Has there ever been... Oh, I'm all punchy today.
Yeah.
Has there ever been... Has there ever been a bigger downgrade?
I don't know. They seem to be excited about him, so I don't know. We'll see.
AJ Allmendinger looks like the epitome of fitness. I'm going to go too far.
I mean,
I love AJ too much to have a fair opinion on anything.
Who are you less excited about? Josh Williams or David Reagan in the 60 car?
That's so funny. I already made my jokes about David Reagan. I'm on the record as saying if you just gave David Reagan a good car, he could win you a bunch of races. And boy, did that prove me wrong.
Yeah.
That was the year he substituted for Kyle Busch, and I thought he was...
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah, this race is a crapshoot. You don't know who you can pick in this thing. Ryan Preece, you'd say, probably would do well in a race like this. I think he's done decent in the past. Corey LaJoie is a good pick. He did well before.
Bubba?
Shoot, Justin Haley was great here.
Justin Haley? Yeah. Michael McDowell?
Anybody can win this thing.
Chase Briscoe?
You just got to get the pole. If you start in the top 4, you got a shot. Otherwise, you
don't get dumped. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, Chase Briscoe might be one to think about.
Do you think it's rougher this year? This is the third time we've done it with this car. Yeah. They know how hard they got to hit each other. Last year was a frickin' bumper car race. You think it's gonna be worse? You think they're gonna be hitting even harder?
Yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah.
I wonder with the changes now to the front and the rear of the cars if it'll damage them more when they're pounding on each other like that.
If I was NASCAR, I'd take some stuff off those cars and make them soft. Yeah. Honest with you, you can't really get hurt out there.
Frickin' take the front end right off of it and leave the radiator exposed.
Tell the drivers to race without helmets and seatbelts, and then we'd really have a.
Oh boy!
Really
Wow! Now we're off the rails.
I've been off the rails today. I'm in off-season form still. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man.
All right. Well, we'll be back next week to break down the Clash and talk about it. Anything else with news, Clash? Anything before we get checkered flags and black flags, James?
It was so nice to see the Rolex again.
Yeah, I didn't watch a lot of it, but I
never do. No, I never do, but it's always nice to see Daytona in the winter time.
If I lived anywhere near that place, I would definitely get a ticket and go check it out. It'd be really cool to go to, but not worth traveling halfway across the country to do for me.
No.
So not when the 500 is so close. If I'm going to Daytona, I'm going to the 500.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
All right, James, any checkered flags this week?
Oh, checkered flags. Well, I'll give it. I made my jokes today, but I'll give it to Dirty Mo, and
Yeah.
Mike Davis for they got Jeff Gluck and Jordan over there. They're heavily influential in this Netflix series. I feel like the stock has never been higher for Dirty Mo.
Yeah, they're doing
Like,
some big things, and they really, Junior and Mike really had plans for that, and they kind of made it known last year.
Yeah, Mike stepped back. He's not doing the podcast anymore. He's like all business now, and he's acquiring talent. Like Jeff and Jordan, that podcast is a legit. Like that podcast has to be a top 3 NASCAR podcast.
Yeah.
Like that is one of my must listens every week. Is after Sunday, I have the teardown ready to go on Monday morning.
And part of it has to do with the fact they're out so early. That helps. I mean, they're really the first one, and they've got good analysis too.
And Jeff and Jordan are great.
Yeah,
Jeff and Jordan are really good at it. They have over the years, and Jeff was doing it solo for a long time, but over the years, I mean, they've gotten reps and they know each other really well. That's a big get for them. That's going to be a lot of fun to see them with a higher production value instead of Jeff doing it probably from his living room or at the track. So,
right.
Having Dirty Mo behind that podcast is really good. And then, yeah, like I said, I mean, the Netflix documentary series is heavily influenced with Dirty Mo. So, yeah, Dale Jr.'s got himself a little media empire over there now. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
They're doing good things, man. Doing good work. I mean, really putting out good quality work. DBC, I was laughing at their media day shoot. I mean, yeah, good stuff going. Good stuff all around from Dirty Mo.
Yeah, they're doing good stuff.
Yep. Can't hate.
I'm trying to find it on Instagram, and I'm not going to find it. But there is another. You know how we've stumbled across Barron Speedway with his 164 scale racetrack. We've fawned over him for a couple of years now.
Soon to be guest on the podcast if I had to guess.
There you go. We hold on. Oh, yeah, there we go. So through him, I've found some other people that have these 164 scale racetracks, and just recently I stumbled across one, but I can't remember who it is, but they have a bunch of scale racetracks, and they did it North Wilkesboro, and it is so cool. Timberlink Raceway is who shared it, and I clicked through them. I followed the account, but I can't figure out Instagram and how to go back and see who I followed most recently to be able to tell you what the hell the account is. But Timberlink_Raceway is the one that he's doing a lot of really cool stuff with his track too. Using techniques that Barron used. He's talked to him and with the foam cutters and all that, creating the banking. He's got a real cool racetrack as well. But he's the one who shared on his stories this other racetrack, and I wish I could find it so I could tell you. Let me see if it's by chance here. Maybe it's Racecraft Dioramas. There it is. Right at Racecraft_Dioramas is what it is. And I've
seen this before. Yeah,
I've
been there before.
He's got like a drag strip and stuff, but he's got a North Wilkesboro that it's not to scale; it's smaller, but it is beautiful. I mean, it looks really, really cool. So check them out on Instagram. It's pretty neat. I could get lost in these dioramas and stuff all day long, man. Mostly because I want to do one and I just don't have the patience or the space to do it. So,
yep.
There you go. Any black flags, James?
Oh man, I'm trying to be better.
You're gonna turn a leaf?
Yeah, I'm not gonna bury anybody.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be nice this week. I already took shots at Denny Hamlin. I'm off to like I'm in the red already. So I'll pass on the black flags this week. Wait till next week when the racing starts and I'll start doling them out like candy.
There you go.
Yep.
I have debated throughout this entire episode how I'm going to go about what I want to mention here. So I'm gonna try and be selective in the way I say it. Let me just put it this way. Here's the thing. This is a note. I don't know who listens to the podcast. I know people listen to the podcast. I know we get regular listeners. I don't know if any of the people that listen to this podcast are influential or part of NASCAR. Or have any say anywhere along through any of the tracks, any of that stuff. But if you do, just remember that where your role is, the job that you're doing, at one point you were a person trying to get in, trying to live their dream and be a part of this sport because you were passionate about it. Or maybe you weren't, but I mean, for the most part, most of you had a dream as well. And somebody somewhere along the line was kind enough to help you get where you wanted to get. They were able to open doors for you, and you're able to get the position that you have now, to where you get to influence what others do, including all of the other podcasts out there that request track
Quote,
credentials
unquote.
and things. Yes, quote unquote,
Yep.
that request track credentials to cover races and whatnot. I had a run-in recently. I won't name the track. I won't name the company. I just will say that I was very disappointed. Not that we were denied access, because I totally get that. It was the way we were denied access, and then the lack of response on the follow-up that really, really bothered me. So, again, don't want to name anybody. There's a race in the spring that I was hoping to cover, and I won't be. You can determine which race that is if you want to as the season goes along. But it was just a couple months into the season. So with that, I don't know if I'm covering any NASCAR this year, to be honest. Might kind of do the local stuff. This is not because of that instance. Had no issues with Michigan International Speedway. We've gotten credentials through them many times, but the ASA Stars Tour is racing at Owasso Speedway that same weekend this year, and I'm trying to, I don't know, maybe work with the CRA series and the Stars Tour and stuff a little bit this year, and just maybe get a chance to experience those guys. So might not do the Michigan thing, might still do it, might still try to get to Iowa, I don't know. But right now, no huge plans for NASCAR coverage this year. Just we'll keep doing the podcast because James and I like to talk about NASCAR every week, and we watch anyway. And we figure if we're going to talk about it, we might as well talk about it, record it, and let you guys all listen in on it as well. So, so just, bummer to not be treated very well when we've been treated really well along the way. There's a certain organization that's done a poorer job of it over the past couple of years that's not NASCAR, but unfortunately holds the keys to several NASCAR events throughout the season.
Mm-hmm.
And they have disappointed me in the way that they treat small podcasts, in quotes. And we'll leave it at that, James. I think that's the nicest way I can do it.
Well, we appreciate the support.
Yes. Yeah, we appreciate
those who
the people.
We've had good people along the way.
Yeah, the people that have granted us credentials. The people that have Josh Hamilton, I'll call him out specifically from NASCAR, who gave me an opportunity at Michigan after NASCAR made changes following the pandemic. Josh approved me for credentials there when he originally wasn't going to. Followed up and approved him, and has given me credentials the last couple of years. So he's been awesome to deal with. Everybody I've dealt with at NASCAR. Stephanie Harris is really great at NASCAR.
Mm-hmm. Back in the day, it was Brad at MIS. I know they restructured. He's not there anymore, but Brad was really great to us for a long time.
Yeah, there's been a lot of great people.
A lot of cool people.
I want to stress that NASCAR has been really good to me. I don't want to take it out on them at all. And we're very grateful, and we understand that we're not entitled to. I mean, we're not entitled to anything. The fact that we've gotten credentials to any races and been able to cover races in person is amazing. The opportunities I've had to stand on the frickin' catch fence at Michigan and shoot through a photo hole in turn 4 or turn 1 as they're going 200 miles an hour straight at me within arm's reach is just incredible. I mean, no way should anybody have ever given us the keys to do that. I got to talk at length with Jimmy Johnson like a couple times. Yeah. I've talked to Denny Hamlin. I've talked to all these guys. Brad Keselowski said my name. Like, this stuff shouldn't have ever happened at all. So I don't want to be disrespectful and not appreciate everything that we've gotten. But I just, people, there's a nice way to say no, and there's a ignorant way to say no, and I got the ignorant way, I guess.
Yeah.
So anyway, we also appreciate all the listeners. We love the fact that you guys check in every week and listen. We see your numbers. Do us a favor. Go on Apple Podcasts, go on Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you're listening to us. Give us a like and leave us a comment. There haven't gotten a comment on our podcast or a review since 2019. So I know you guys are listening. You're listening more now than you were then. So put a comment on there. Give us a rating. Tell us what you think. Give us some suggestions too. If you want to reach out during the week, you can do that as well. You can hit me up on Twitter at TSuperspeedway. James, where can I get you on Twitter or
at
X?
James Cush on Twitter? Yep. X.
I have not.
Although I'm banned, so
yeah,
we'll
right.
see if I come back. I looks like I'm back. So
I haven't been on Twitter much, so. But I'll see the notifications and I'll check it out. You can also hit us up on Facebook, facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. You can visit thesuperspeedway.com. There's contact information there as well. Reach out and let us know what you think. Anchor.fm/thesuperspeedway. You can leave us an audio message. Give us a review on there. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't. Talk to the audience if you want to. You can talk to our listeners. Leave a message and we'll play it on the show as long as it's appropriate. So I'm not promising everything, but we'll do what we can, guys. But we appreciate everybody who's listening along. You can find us Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and Anchor, wherever you found us today. We hope you subscribe and continue to listen. James, is there anything else before we head on out of here this week and head into the Clash?
We're a little out of rhythm.
Yeah.
But I think we covered everything, my man.
I think so. We'll be back next week.
It's good to be back.
Hopefully with a special guest next week. We're working on that. So we'll see what happens there. We'll do our Clash wrap up. And we'll be back the next week to preview the Daytona 500. Believe it or not, the Daytona 500 is almost here, James. Can't believe it.
That's right. I know it.
So we'll be here weekly now until God knows when. Whenever the first break is. I don't know. I don't remember when that is. I think it's pretty long.
Yeah, I think it's
a
a long run this year.
Is it the Olympics, I think?
Yeah.
So,
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it is.
So you got to put up with us every week. So we appreciate it. Keep listening. Follow us where you found us, and we'll be back next week. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.